All right, let's get you ready for that exam. We're diving deep into research skills and critical thinking. Seriously, this is the stuff you absolutely need to know. No fluff, just the core concepts. Let's get right to it.
So, here's our game plan. First, what actually makes research scientific? Then, we'll hit the 4 big methodologies you'll see. From there, we'll talk about how to be a smart skeptic and wrap up with, how to spot bullshit. Let's go.
Okay, first things first. To really nail this, you've got to be able to tell the difference between a real scientific claim and something that just, sounds good. So let's look at the foundations.
Pay close attention here, because this is super fundamental. What are the 3 things that make any knowledge claim scientific? Get this down, and you've got a killer checklist for pretty much any research they throw at you on the exam.
So here they are. For a claim to be scientific, it has to be 3 things: systematic, public, and worldly. Think of it like this. Systematic means it's built on a solid foundation of logic. Everything connects properly. Public means it's not some secret knowledge. It's out there for everyone in the scientific community to poke at, to test, to criticize. That's how science gets better. And finally, worldly. This one's simple. It has to be about the real world, about facts we can observe, not about ethics or mystical stuff. It has to be testable in reality.
Okay, so we know what makes a claim scientific. Now, let's look at the how. What are the blueprints, the main ways researchers actually go about building their arguments? There are 4 big ones you need to know. All right, this table looks a bit intense, but it's actually pretty straightforward once you get it. It maps out the 4 big methodologies, and they all hinge on 2, let's call them bets that researchers make. The first one is about the mind-world relationship. Are you, the researcher, totally separate from what you're studying? That's mind-world dualism. Or are you part of it, connected to it? That's mind-world monism. The second bet is about what we can even know. Can we only know what we can directly see and measure? That's phenomenalism. Or can we make claims about deeper, unseen forces, things like gravity or social structures? That's transfactualism. So you see how they fit? A neo-positivist, for example, bets on a separate mind and knowledge from experience only. But a critical realist also sees the mind as separate but believes we can understand those hidden structures. Getting these 2 axes down is honestly the key to unlocking this whole thing. Okay, quick but super important point here, and this is a classic exam trap, so listen up. You might hear the term constructivism thrown around. Just remember, constructivism is an ontology, not a methodology. What's the difference? Ontology is about the nature of reality itself, like what is real. A methodology is the plan for studying that reality. So constructivism is a belief about how the world works, not a research method. Don't mix those 2 up.
All right, so we've seen how these arguments get built. Now for the fun part. Learning how to inspect them and, take them apart if they're weak. It's time to sharpen your toolkit for skepticism. Now, let's talk about calling bullshit. This isn't just saying, I disagree. It's way more specific. The term for it is a performative utterance, which just means your words are a form of action. You are actively, publicly rejecting a claim because you see it as bogus, maybe because of bad logic, trickery, or even because it's unjust. It's not just a statement, it's an intervention. And this quote right here, it gets to the very heart of it. A liar actually cares about the truth. They have to in order to hide it, right? But a bullshitter? They have a gross indifference to the truth. They just don't care. Their goal isn't to hide the truth. It's to persuade you using whatever sounds good, whether it's true or not. And that indifference, that's the telltale sign you're dealing with bullshit. Okay, let's make this super practical. How do you actually spot this stuff? We're going to go through some common traps to watch out for and then the actual techniques you can use to call it out. All right, here are some major red flags to keep on your radar. First, watch out for unfair comparisons. Are they comparing 2 things that are even remotely similar? If not, that's a problem. Second, if a claim just seems way too good or way too bad to be true, it probably is. Trust your gut and dig deeper. Third, think about the scale of things, the order of magnitude. If someone claims 9 billion tons of plastic enter the ocean every year, a quick reality check tells you that's just not possible. It's a simple, powerful way to spot nonsense. Also, check yourself. Are you falling for something because you want it to be true? That's confirmation bias, and it gets everyone. And finally, always, always ask, what are the other possible explanations? Don't just accept the first one offered. And if you spot some bullshit, here's how you can effectively take it down.
These are your tools. You can use reductio ad absurdum, which is a fancy way of saying, okay, let's take your assumption to its logical conclusion and see how ridiculous it gets. Or if they make a big sweeping statement, all you need is one solid counterexample to poke a hole in it. Sometimes a simple analogy can do the trick. Reframe their claim in a context everyone understands to show why it's flawed. And you can also use a null model, which basically shows how the pattern they're so excited about could have just happened by pure chance. Using these techniques, that's how you show your thinking at a really high level.
And hey, before we wrap this up with a final recap, if you really want to make sure all this sticks for your exam, you can find the full summary plus a bunch of practice tests over at gradeguru.nl.
All right, so let's boil it all down. What do you absolutely have to remember for your exam? 1. A scientific claim has to be systematic, public, and worldly. That's your 3-point checklist. 2. Those 4 methodologies, neopositivism, critical realism, and the others, it all comes down to their 2 big wagers about reality and knowledge. 3. Calling bullshit isn't just an opinion. It's an action you take against claims made with zero regard for the truth. And 4, you have real tools to fight back, like finding counterexamples or using reductio ad absurdum. If you can walk into the exam with these 4 points locked in, you're going to be in fantastic shape.